Somebody read Sanskrit?
Yeah, go ahead. Abhi. Go.
Is X24, is it?
Yes.
Tasmat sarveshu bhuteshu
Tasmat
सर्वेषु भूतेषु
dayam kuruta suhridam
नयं कुरुता सुहृदं
bhavam ashuram unmuchya
भवाम् असुराम् उन्मुच्य
yaya tushyati yadhokshajaha
यया तुष्यति यदोक्षजः
Abhinav.
तस्मात् सर्वेषु भूतेषु
तस्मात् सर्वेषु भूतेषु दयां कुरुता सुहृदं
भवम् असुरम् अन्मुच्य
भवाम् असुराम् उन्मुच्य
yaya tushyati doshaja
यया तुष्यति यदोक्षजः तस्मात् सर्वेषु भूतेषु
dayam kuruta suhridam
दयां कुरुता सुहृदं
भवम् असुरम् उन्मुच्य
भवाम् असुराम् उन्मुच्य
yaya tushyati yadhokshaja
यया तुष्यति यदोक्षजः
तस्मात् सर्वेषु भूतेषु
तस्मात् सर्वेषु भूतेषु
dayam kurut suhridam
दयां कुरु सुहृदं
Bhavamasuram Mucha.
यया तुष्यति यदोक्षजः तस्मात् सर्वेषु भूतेषु दयां कुरुता सुहृदं भवाम् असुरम् उन्मुच्य यया तुष्यति यदोक्षजः
Therefore, my dear young friends, born of demons, please act in such a way that the Supreme Lord, who is beyond the conception of material knowledge, will be satisfied. Give up your demonic nature and act without enmity or duality. Show mercy to all living entities by enlightening them in devotional service, thus becoming their well-wishers. Purport. The Lord says in Bhagavad Gita 18:55, Bhaktyamam abhijanati yavanyas jahasmi tatvaha. One can understand the Supreme Personality as he is only by devotional service. Prahalad Maharaj ultimately instructed his class friends, the sons of demons, to accept the process of devotional service by preaching the science of Krishna consciousness to everyone. Preaching is the best service to the Lord. The Lord will immediately be extremely satisfied with one who engages in the service of preaching Krishna consciousness. This is confirmed by the Lord himself in Bhagavad Gita 18:69. Nacha tasman Manuseshu shashan mi priya katamaha. There is no servant in the world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear. If one sincerely tries his best to spread Krishna consciousness by preaching the glories of the Lord and his supremacy, even if he is imperfectly educated, he becomes the dearmost servant of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. This is bhakti. As one performs this service for humanity without discrimination between friends and enemies, the Lord becomes satisfied, and the mission of one's life is fulfilled. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore advised everyone to become a guru devotee and preach Krishna consciousness. Yare Dika Tara Kahan Krishna Upadasha. This is the easiest way to realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by such preaching. The preacher becomes satisfied, and those to whom he preaches is also satisfied. This is the process of bringing peace and tranquility to the entire world. Bhaktivinoda Thakur was a Bhajananadi scholar, but Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati emphasized preaching. And so Prabhupada also took up this banner of preaching. At first, when we were with the Swami, he didn't emphasize that. He wanted us to get the foundations, the basics. But then when we were ready, he encouraged us to preach. And it says that you don't even make distinctions between friends or enemies, because enemies can become friends. In the Vedic culture, even enemies, you give them a mat and some water. Of course, the scientific understanding of this is that the water to your enemy, they got dysentery and left. So Prabhupada encourages preaching, and what's really nice about it is that you can actually visibly see this changing another person's heart. You'll see them actually changing their consciousness. As you all experienced, you came across this, something tweaked your imagination, something tweaked your heart, and you took to this. And as your heart realizes Krishna inside, then you want to give Krishna to everybody else. This is the preaching consciousness. And in this process, we're also learning, there's an adage, no sailor learns to sail on smooth seas. That sometimes there's challenges in Krishna consciousness. And so the sea is rough, and then it smooths again. So Prabhupada, to satisfy his spiritual master, he, when we were ready, when he spoon-fed us the foundation, that yes, Krishna is all in all, but he's also the friendliest to us, this formula, then we were ready to preach. And like little birds, as I said, he kicked us out of the nest. Now go to London. And then the train on the way to Bombay, Mumbai, I was sitting in the station, I'll tell that story later, and he kicked me out of the nest again. I thought I was just going to Bombay with him. I was in the station in Delhi, and dude, pani, chai. looking at the station. A man comes in, he speaks Hindi. Prabhupada, I'm sitting there, chai, pani, looking out the window. This man says that we can start a temple in Delhi, so get down and see what you can do. Who will you take with you? So, of course, Jamuna, Giriraj, my buddy, Banu, my buddy, and there was one brahmachari, Gopal, who didn't get along with people, but I thought in an intimate situation, he would do better. And sure enough, he became our legs and our stalwart brahmachari. And the man was so cheap, he tried to put us all on his motorcycle with our bag and baggage. He was so cheap, he prayed to batteries to get juice again so he could play the radio. So we said, no, we need a taxi. Puts us in a taxi begrudgingly. We end up on Delhi Gate, New Delhi and Old Delhi right there. And we're in a temple with monkeys and weasels in the room, bandars. So, as I said, no ship sailor learns sailing by smooth seas. So, this was a challenge, but it was glorious. We opened up the Delhi temple. Now, yesterday's verse was talking about the possible pitfalls of married life. So somebody was asking me yesterday about what he should do getting ready for Grihastha. Well, I first said that you should try to actually get to know the person. Even if it's arranged marriage, you should get to know the person to see if you're compatible, you have the same ethics, you can be friends. And don't read yesterday's verse. But then do read yesterday's verse. But you see, you can't paint a broad paintbrush in every situation. It's time, place, and circumstance. And Prabhupada encouraged our Grihastha life. And actually, because Jamuna is such a great devotee, we actually did some nice things together for 10, 11 years. So all the ashramas can be used for this preaching idea. All the ashramas can be used for the preaching idea. So now, as you all want to hear more of the beginning preaching ideas, we were in San Francisco yesterday, and now we're feeling really good because the Swami is in our life. Many of us worked. I had 2 jobs, teaching vocational English and a filing job in a workman's compensation office. And I remember Krishna Das and I would be going to work together in the tram, these trolley cars in San Francisco, when we were so fired up that when we left each other, we'd bow down. And we used to bow down a lot in humility when we saw each other. And so we were getting the juice of Krishna consciousness and feeling pure in the process. And so the Swamiji was there. And as I said yesterday, Jamuna proposed to me. And so but you see, we would go on walks all the time. That was really the highlight of our morning, going on walks with the Swami. And going to the beach. And we would roast potatoes and corn, and Swamiji would say, there's more demigods than waves in the ocean. And he would say, oh, glories to the assembled devotee. And then he said, oh, glories to the Pacific Ocean. And here I did some photos right in his face. And he never bothered. I'd be this close to him. And so there he is playing the harmonium and teaching us. Then we had the mantra rock dance, preaching. All the big bands, Janis Joplin and the Grateful Dead and Big Brother and Moby Grape and Allen Ginsberg came to the dance. Timothy Leary came, a man who thought he was the mayor of San Francisco. He wasn't, he just wore a sash. San Francisco. So here Prabhupada's preaching himself to Allen Ginsberg. And Allen was complaining that he's so famous that people were keeping him up all night. And Prabhupada says Mahatma Gandhi also had this phenomena of preaching all night and being woken up. And Allen said he would chant Hare Krishna every day of his life. And why not? So now we're in this beautiful temple. You can see this picture. Prabhupada's teaching us deity worship. Here's the great Vishnu John. And this girl here getting tilak was at Jamuna and my wedding. So here's Harsharani getting initiated. There's only about 10 of us now. So, as I said, Jamuna proposed to me, but then the Swami said, you have to get married, initiated first. And so we got initiated, and there was a devotee, Shama Devi, Hayagriva's wife, very nice devotee. So we got initiated, 3 of us. And after Jamuna proposed to me, and Swamiji said, you must get initiated, I said, when would you like me to get initiated? And he said, tomorrow. Because he knew my chanchala mind was going all over the place. And I mentioned that a born-again Christian shows up where I was living Jamun and I were living together, but now we were apart. And this guy was trying to tell me not to go to Krishna consciousness. And he was so obnoxious that he pushed me closer to Krishna. And so, as I mentioned, that Janaki, we didn't know anything. So Janaki, instead of pure ghee, she used oleomargarine, oil, dalda, motor oil. And not real wood, Fuchsbrock's wood, artificial wood. And the fire sputtered, but Swamiji's golden lotus fingers were able to get the fire going. And it happened again at the wedding, and he joked that this marriage will sputter at first and then burst into flame. Actually, it burst into the flame and sputtered, but I mean, Jamuna Devi, by osmosis, I became a devotee. She's such a deep, great devotee, and it was a glorious partnership. And so and you see, here we are, and then we didn't shave our heads at first, but I was one of the first ones, and in London too. So that at the wedding was that girl, this girl. And she was at the wedding, and she wanted to marry Prabhupada. Now, can we blame her? We all love Prabhupada. And it's really funny because later on at the airport, we're all at the airport with festoons and banners and costumes and instruments, and we're blissful in the airport. And she's leading us, the girl.